turn to page 115 in your grammar book. 115. Okay. 115.
I turned the page once and then it's on 115.
Oh, you got lucky, huh? That was a good one. You guys are definitely more than halfway through this book. So you're doing awesome. And it's going to be nice to finish the book, and then we can just focus on the writing part of the class. And anyway, it's going to be a good thing. All right, so page 115, we're talking today about quotation marks and capitalization. Okay, quotation marks, we already know, is used when someone is speaking in a writing. And sometimes when we write a story like The Little Red Hen, and the little red hen is speaking, and so are the other animals, we use a quote. And a quote is the part that's being said. Okay, so, and then you use quotation marks to indicate that. You guys already know this, so this part's going to be kind of easy for you. But there's a couple of different ways you can write it out. You can put the quote first, which is like this example, where the quote is, "I like the gifts." And then you see that comma right there inside that quotation mark. That's important to remember. And then after that is the attribution. And the attribution is who is saying it. And here it says, "The princess insisted." So the quote is the sentence in quotation marks, and the attribution is the person speaking and the speaking verb. In this sentence, the speaking verb is insisted. And remember how you have your banned words in your writing part of the class, and we're trying really hard not to use the word say or said. So this is a good example. The princess insisted. That means she really wanted to make a point of that, right? "I like the gifts," the princess insisted. So insisted is another way to say said, right? You could say the princess said, but we're trying to get away from that. So that's a good example there of that. But that is the speaking verb. That's the action word. Capitalize the first word of a quoted sentence, always. It's like a new sentence, so you always capitalize the first word. Capitalize the first word of an attribution when it begins the sentence. Do not capitalize the first word of an attribution when it follows the quote. Okay, right here, it's showing you the two ways you can write out a quote. You can put the attribution first and then the quote, like, "The princess insisted, I like the gifts." Or you can put the quote first, like in this example, "I like the gifts," and then the attribution, "The princess insisted." So you can flip-flop those, but notice if the attribution comes after the quote, you don't need to capitalize it. But if it comes first, you do. And that's pretty easy to remember because it's the beginning of the sentence. So either way, though, I want you to notice that the quote is capital in both of these examples. Always capitalize the beginning of the quote. All right, we're going to answer these questions orally. That just means you're going to say the answer. So the first one we're going to talk about together, and then I'm going to also have you underline. So it says, what are the attributions in the following sentences? The first one says, "Let's enter the forest, the first soldier suggested." All right, so the attribution is "the first soldier suggested." Go ahead and underline that part of that sentence. And now I'm going to start with Wyatt. Can you read the next one and then tell us what the attribution is?
Okay. "The others whispered, 'It's so dark.'"
Good.
The others whispered.
Good, easy. That's the attribution. Good job. Did you notice that in this one right here, the first one that I did, the is not capitalized because the
Yeah.
attribution came after the quote, but when it's here at the beginning, it is capitalized. So just keep that in mind.
Everything at the beginning is capitalized.
Yeah, that's an easy rule. You can just say that. You're right, Wyatt. Everything at the beginning is capitalized, no matter what it is. This one is a little tricky right here. We can sleep here tonight. That is the quote, but there is no attribution. So I'm going to put here no attribution. And that just means they didn't put one in this one. And that's okay when you're writing a story and you have a lot of speaking parts. If the characters are talking back and forth, you don't always have to have an attribution because sometimes it gets a little too much. If you always say like the hen clucked or the pig oinked and the rat squeaked and you keep going on, you could have the characters just talk to each other without the attribution in some situations and when they're talking a lot. So we'll go over that again as we do our writing part. Cassie, go ahead and read this next one here.
When is the first word of an attribution capitalized?
And that is different than what we've been doing. This is actually a question, so it switched up on us. But when is the first word of an attribution capitalized? Do you know the answer to that, Cassie? Is it when the attribution is at the beginning of the sentence or when the attribution is at the end of the sentence? When is it capital?
At the beginning.
Yes. So let's put that at the beginning of a sentence. And like Wyatt said, I'm not going to put a period there because it's not a full sentence. Like Wyatt said, it's always capital at the beginning of the sentence. So that's a good rule to keep in mind. Okay, Chase, read the next question. Go ahead and unmute. Don't forget to unmute. Chase, can you hear me? Uh-oh, he might be having internet problems. Are you there, Chase? He disappeared. Okay, how about back to Wyatt? Well, wait. Are you coming back, Chase?
Oh, I probably had internet problems.
There he is. Can you hear us, Chase? Okay, go ahead and unmute and read the last question here on this page, 115.
When is the first word of the quoted sentence capitalized?
Okay, do you know the answer to that question? When you have a quote, you can look up here.
The first letter is capitalized.
Like always, right, Chase? Anytime you have a quote. Okay, good. So let's put it is always capitalized. Whenever you have a first word of a quoted sentence, you always capitalize it. So go ahead and write that in your book. And then after that, we're going to move on to our practice page. So you can go to page 117 now.
I would have expected the 117 page would have a quote, but apparently not.
All right. Wyatt, could you read our sentence today?
Suddenly they stumbled over a strange thing.
Good. And stumbled is our word, our vocabulary word. We know that that just means like tripped over something or fell. Okay, so we know that
It can also mean found across. Like
Oh.
you stumbled on a bird's nest.
Oh, yeah, like stumbled across. I think you were trying to say that, stumbled across something. That's
Yeah.
true. That's a good one. Yeah, it's like you found something like a bird's nest. Good example. I like that. Go ahead and you guys know what to do here. Write these in. And then we only have one and it's right here. You can label that and put a check mark. Cassie, what noun do we have in our sentence?
The noun is they.
No, that's a pronoun.
Is it thing?
Yes, it's thing. Because thing is a thing, right? We don't know what that thing is yet. Over a strange thing, we don't know what it is yet, but
It's something. That's
Something.
the thing.
I bet we'll find out during your homework this week. Okay, and then the pronoun, Chase, what's the pronoun in this sentence?
It's they.
Yeah, and we kind of already gave it away, so that was pretty easy. Now back to Wyatt, an adjective describes the noun. So if you look at the noun and ask yourself like which one or what kind.
Strange.
Yes,
You gotta
easy.
get that Doctor Strange.
Yes, I like that character. He's pretty good. Except for that multi-universe one. I didn't really like that movie, but I liked the original Doctor Strange. I thought that was
It's the multiverse.
multiverse. Okay. Yeah, I wasn't.
I
sure
think
on that
that's what
one.
it's called.
I think so too. All right. ly adverb, that's Cassie. That's pretty easy. We've been using that in our writing. Which one is the ly adverb?
Suddenly.
Good. So let's just put an ly above that one. All right. Chase, prepositional phrase. Remember how to find that?
Phrase is over a strange thing.
Good. You got it. Over a strange thing, because over is a preposition and then it always ends on a noun. Good. And if you forget what the prepositions are, you can look back in your book. We've talked about that before. Now, Wyatt, let's start with the verb. We're looking for the subject verb pair, but start with the verb. What is the verb in this sentence?
Over.
No, that's the preposition. We already marked that.
Ooh. So it's stumbled.
Yes, there you go. Stumbled. And if you notice, everything else has been labeled with something or underlined. And that was the last word. So we can pretty much know that whatever's left could be the verb. So stumbled is the verb. And then if I ask who stumbled, Wyatt, what's the subject in the sentence?
Strange.
No, if you're asking yourself like who stumbled? I see your hand, Cassie. Hold on. Let's see if Wyatt can figure it out. Think of,
They.
yeah, there you go. Was that what you were going to say, Cassie?
Yeah.
Okay. I saw that you knew it, but I was like trying to see if Wyatt could figure it out. They stumbled, because who stumbled? They stumbled. Don't forget, you can ask who or what to find out who the subject is. All right, then capital easy, right? This letter here, end mark is a period. Okay, go ahead and rewrite that at the bottom.
Time to wake up. Time for you to sign this call.
Chase, is that your brother
It's my sister.
or your sister? Oh,
She made she got some Papa Valentine's card.
oh,
And I think she left it on the ground because something's playing music. Maybe that's just how loud it is.
oh.
What are you doing this weekend?
Me?
Yeah.
Well, it's actually my husband's birthday this weekend. So we have a couple things we're going to do. We're going to go to this. It's something at Garces High School. There's a dinner, like a fundraiser dinner. And my husband's parents, they go to church there. And so they like to go to those events and stuff. So we're going to go do that. And then on Sunday, we're going to go out to dinner for his birthday. And other than that, we're just going to probably be at home and, do stuff on the farm. So nothing super, super exciting, but it is fun that it's his birthday. So
That's nice.
yeah, thank you. Thank you for asking that. Okay, so we're done with grammar. And now we're going to talk about writing. Last week, and it was kind of nice, wasn't it? You guys just had grammar this week for homework, or last week. So it was probably pretty easy to get that done. And so now we're going to get back into the writing this week. And we're going to talk first about a new dress up word that we have this week. So this page 27 should be at the front of your binder. Remember the stylistic techniques page, it's yellow and it's page 27. So go ahead and get that one out. Thumbs up when you got it. Oh, I see Wyatt's. You got yours. I'm hoping it's at the very front of your binder, either in the rings or the pocket or something like that.
Mine was.
Good. How about you, Chase? Are you getting page 27 out? It's at the front of your binder. It's yellow.
My siblings still came in and I tried to close the door, but
Oh,
they kept on pursuing, so I had to write my name on it.
that's okay, Chase. I understand.
So what are we doing?
So this is page 27, and this is at the very front of your binder because this is your dress up page where we make a list of your dress up words.
Mine was at the back because my brothers were playing pretty rough. So while I was doing my homework, it dropped.
Oh no.
Jumping on me and stuff like that. But
Uh-oh.
Mine was at the back of my pocket.
Okay. Well, at least you found it. That's the important thing. And Chase, were you able to find yours yet?
I haven't found the page, but I found my binder and I'm just room for it on my desk.
Yeah, maybe check the very front, because that's where we left it last.
Oh.
In fact, I like you to just keep it in the very front.
There's a lot of things you make us leave in the front, but it's kind of hard to leave them both at the front.
Yeah.
And
Well, you can, if you can't find it, keep looking, but if you can't find it, just go ahead and watch what I'm doing on the screen for now. And then maybe your mom can help you find it later.
my binder's still unorganized. There's one page that's like 20, and then after it, it's like 200. So,
Yeah, so I'm talking about like the very front cover. Is that where you're looking?
yeah, but there.
The other spot that it could be in is behind the tab that says stylistic techniques.
Or in the very back pocket of your binder.
One, I see the Sahara sand binder behind that.
Yeah, that's what we're going to talk about today. So that's good. You know that. Okay, Chase. Well, we're going to keep going. You can keep looking, but listen as you're looking. Okay. Actually, how about you just look at the screen at what we're doing? So I'm going to ask Wyatt, what do you have next to number 1 right here by dress up words?
ly adverbs.
Ly adverbs. Good. And Cassie, what do you have for number 2?
Who, which clause?
Who, which clause. Good. And then Wyatt, what do you have for number 3?
Nothing.
Nothing. Do you have anything for number 3, Cassie?
No, only 1 and 2.
Only 1 and 2. Okay. So we forgot to talk about number 3. I thought I did. All right, let me look really quick at what number 3 is. It should be strong verb. So go ahead and write that in because you actually did that for the Little Red Hen story. Remember that?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, we did that, but you never told us to take out the paper.
Ah, okay. So now you can write it in. That's number 3 is a strong verb. And remember when we started talking about banned words like say, said, and seesaw, and then we came up with a list of better words to use. Those are considered strong verbs, the ones that we put on that list instead of the banned words. And then another way to think of a strong verb is a verb that gives an image of what's happening. So I like to always give the example of the dog ran after the cat. I could say the dog ran, but if I said the dog chased or the dog bolted or charged or something like that, that gives the reader a little bit more of an image in their head of what's happening. So when you use a strong verb, you want to don't use the small words or the simple words. You want to think of something that describes what's happening in the action. And sometimes you can do that when you go to a thesaurus, either a real thesaurus book or online. You can go to thesaurus.com with your parents' help with that. And then you can look up what's another word for ran or what's another word for eat. If you come up with a more descriptive word, that's considered a strong verb when you're talking about an action. Okay. And Cassie, did you have a question?
Well, not a question, but I don't really use the thesaurus. I kind of just search it up online, like on Google.
Okay.
Like, what's a better word?
You can do that. You can do that. As long as your parents are fine with you Googling stuff like that, that's okay with me. That will help you find some better words. Okay. And then number 4, we have one more to add today. And this one is called because clause. Because clause. Now, a because clause, it really isn't too hard. It's actually using the word because, okay? Like for the who, which clause, you use who or which, but for the because clause, now you're going to use the word because. And here's an example. If you ask yourself a question about like a why question, your answer will have the word because in it, right? If I ask you, why is the Sahara Desert so dry? Can somebody answer that question? Why is the Sahara Desert so dry? Cassie.
Because, I don't really know a reason why it's dry.
Okay, you can.
It starts
Okay.
with the because.
Oh, okay. Does anybody, Wyatt, do you know why the Sahara Desert is so dry?
Because it doesn't rain there a lot.
Because it doesn't rain there a lot. So you could say the Sahara Desert is dry because it does not rain very often there. Something like that. Okay, so that's how you would use a because clause. Whenever you're going to explain why something is the way it is, you use the word because. How about this question? Why is it so difficult to live in the desert? Anybody want to take a guess at that? Why is it so difficult to live in the desert, Cassie?
Because there's not very much water. So when there is water, there's very little.
Yes, good. Because there's not very much water. Another reason could be because it's so hot, right? Remember, the temperature is really hot in the desert. Did you want to
And
say?
another reason is because there's not many materials.
That's true too. You don't really have shade from the trees, so you don't have wood to build things. Yeah. They don't have electricity out there. They don't have water. So yeah, good example. So you could use the sentence, it is difficult to live in the desert because it is so hot, or it is difficult to live in the desert because there aren't any materials, or it is difficult to live in the desert because there's not very much water. So do you get what I'm saying? If you ask yourself why about something you're writing about, then you can come up with a because clause. This is now going to be on your checklist, all 4 of these actually. So when you go to write a story, you're going to need to make sure to underline ly adverbs, underline a who or which, underline a strong verb, and underline a because clause. So that's 4 things now you're going to underline when you do your writing. Okay. Now, last week we read about the Sahara Desert. And you can keep this yellow page in the front of your binder. Keep it there for now. And that way it's close and we can find it easier. And last week we talked about, you remember this when we talked about writing a report and we read the story about the Sahara and we called it a subject, and then there were facts, information about the desert. We made a little list of things that we learned. The other thing we did was we underlined, as we were reading, we underlined facts that we thought were interesting or relevant. Remember how we did that together? And we were just underlining some information. And that's how we got this list, right? We used what we underlined, and then we made a list of things that we learned from that. Now we're going to work on a keyword outline. And I can't remember if you guys started this yet. Do you have this already? You didn't start it yet?
Well, we didn't start the story, but I don't know if we have that.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, we do.
You have this already? Like that?
Mhm.
Do you
Mine
have
just
that, Wyatt?
Mine just doesn't say. You didn't tell us to put clincher though,
Okay.
or something like that.
Okay. Do you have that, Wyatt?
Yes.
Good. And Chase, do you have yours?
I need a piece of paper.
Okay, you should have this from last week though.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, see if it's in your binder. It should be at the front.
But aren't we writing a report instead of a story?
Yeah. This week, yes, we're writing a report instead of a story for the next couple of weeks, and then we're going to go back to writing a story. So it'll kind of bounce back and forth between like academic writing and creative writing.
Okay.
Yeah. So
How many paragraphs is our report going to be?
the report on Sahara is only 1 paragraph, so it's not very long. Yeah. Yep. And then we're going to read about the Gobi Desert, and then that's going to be paragraph 2. So ultimately your report will be 2 paragraphs long, but this is just the beginning of it.
Oh, then I should be able to do this by tomorrow. It might just be turned in late.
That's okay. And you told me, and I now I know what's going on, so it's no problem. If you need to turn it late, that's okay. Okay, Chase, did you find this?
I'm trying to.
Do you need maybe your mom to help you find it? It's so hard to do this part on Zoom because I can't help you look at your binder. But it should be, because we worked on it last week, and remember how I always tell you to keep everything we're working on at the front. So you can either use the pocket or the rings in the front, but it's really important for you to keep everything right there. Chase, you did?
I found a paper.
Okay, then you're probably close.
There's a bunch of paper.
Did you say you found the outline or you found the story?
I'm finding a bunch of.
Okay.
Maybe I didn't. Oh, I think
It's okay, Chase. I'm sorry, I can't help you with that. You could get a clean piece of paper out and start over. I don't have that much on here yet. That's okay with me. We have February 7th on here because we started it last week.
It's fine. There's not that much on it.
Okay, yeah, you can, why don't you just do that? Go ahead and get out a lined piece of paper. And you can copy what I have here. And Cassie was saying you didn't have topic clincher yet. So go ahead and write that in like how I have it on my outline right here.
Let me get a paper.
Yeah.
Have one. I need to go get one.
Okay, and the topic clincher, and that's okay, Chase. I'm just going to keep talking while you get your stuff, and then you can write it down. The topic sentence is the very first sentence of your paragraph, and the clincher sentence is the very last sentence of your paragraph. Now, notice on this outline, you have a Roman numeral 1, and then you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that makes 6 altogether, right? So your paragraph is going to be 6 sentences long. The very first sentence is the topic, and the number 6 sentence is your clincher. Now, when I say that word clincher, it kind of reminds me of like a crab that has claws or like pinchers, or maybe even like the scorpion has those pinchers. Remember way back when we learned about scorpions? And then it kind of also reminds me of clenching something. Like if you grab your pencil or your pen and you hold it like this really tight in your hands, you're clenching it, right? And let's say your little sister wants your pen and you're like, no, it's my pen, and you're holding on to it and you're not going to let go, right? You're clenching it. So in writing, that last sentence of your paragraph is kind of like that for the reader, whoever's reading it. It kind of grabs them, right? It grabs their attention. So the clincher will add style to your writing. It will make it sound better, and it'll be a little bit more interesting and have more style when the reader reads your story. So there's a little rule about the topic and clincher sentence. So I want you on the side here to put these words. I know we're in the margin right now, okay? So you're going to write repeat or reflect 2 to 3 words. You're going to have to write it kind of small. And then what you're going to do is like draw an arrow up to topic and then draw an arrow down to clincher, like that. Repeat. Here, I'll zoom in a little bit so you can see that better. Repeat or reflect 2 or 3 words. Now, and they're the key words. So here's the little saying. And it goes like this. I'm going to do little hand motions with it too. The topic sentence and the clincher sentence must repeat or reflect 2 or 3 key, like you're turning a key, and then hold your hand out, words. Okay. So I'm going to turn off my share real quick. And if you haven't finished, Chase, it's okay. I'll bring it back up in a second. But I want you guys to practice the hand motions with me, okay? Did you know if you do hand motions when you say something, it locks it in your brain better if you do something with your hands while you're saying it? So it's a little trick you can do. And for this, it starts like this. So put your hand like this, up higher by your head, and say, go ahead and do it with us, Wyatt. The topic sentence, you say that.
The topic sentence.
And the clincher sentence.
And the clincher sentence.
Must, say that.
Must
repeat or reflect
repeat or reflect
2 or 3
2 or 3
key
key
words.
words.
Okay, we got to do it again because Chase didn't do it and then I didn't hear Wyatt or Chase. So you guys got to do it and repeat it after me, okay? You guys ready? So I'll say it first and then you copy. The topic sentence
The topic sentence
and the clincher sentence
and the clincher sentence
must
must
repeat or reflect.
repeat or reflect
Do the motions too, okay, Chase? 2 or 3
My earbud
2 or 3
my earbud was
key
key
words.
words.
Good, nice. Okay. So
Can you hear
key
me
is
now?
like, go ahead, Chase, what?
hear me now.
I can hear you now, yes.
Hear me. Oh, it's because my earbud wasn't.
Okay. Okay. So key is like when you're turning a key to go inside the door or your car or something like that. So key words, we already know about key words because you use those all the time in your keyword outlines, right? You already know those words. So when I say repeat or reflect, that means either exactly the same word or a synonym or like something close to it, right? Reflecting a word means like instead of saying large desert, you could say huge desert. And large and huge are two different words. So, but they reflect each other. They mean the same thing, but they're different words. Repeat means the same exact word. Okay, that's what repeat means. Now I'm going to show you something here. And you don't have to write this down, but I'm going to show you this really quick. I'll bring that back, Chase, if you're still working on that. Here's an example. I set my paper up like we always do. I left my title blank and it says the Sahara is the largest desert in the world. And then I have the squiggly lines like I went on to talk about, you know, how there's not very much water. And then I talk about the camels and blah, blah, blah. And I talk about that. Here I am at my last sentence. And now my last sentence, I spelled Shirley wrong. I need to put an E in here. I just now realized that. Okay. Surely the heat of the huge desert makes it a difficult place to live. Notice that I highlighted largest and huge because those reflect, right? They're not the same word, but they mean about the same thing. And then I also highlighted desert and desert. So that follows the topic clincher rule. I've got one that repeats desert and desert, and I have one that is reflecting. And remember, it's 2 or 3 key words, and I have 2. So that's an example of what you're going to start working on when you do the writing part. You're going to still, notice I have things underlined here. You're still going to underline those dress up words, but now you're also going to highlight key words from your topic sentence and your clincher sentence. Do you guys have any questions about that? Okay, so that's what it's going to start to look like. And you can use a highlighter. If you don't have a highlighter, you can put a box around it. Okay, but I don't want you to underline it. You're only underlining the dress up words, but this is a little different with the topic sentence and the clincher sentence. Okay, let's go back to our keyword outline. And now, remember, we read the story last week, and now we're going to start looking at making our keyword outline. Okay, so I'm just going to put it right here. I know you can't see the whole thing, but we underlined some important facts. And by the way, whenever you start a keyword outline, when you're writing a report, you always have to introduce the topic at the first Roman numeral. So right here, I'm going to have you put desert and then Sahara, because we need to put the topic first. What are we writing about? What is our report first? That goes at the Roman numeral. And one of the things we learned right away in the Sahara article here, this text, is it's the world's largest hot desert is the Sahara Desert. So I think we can put largest, and we can actually draw little flames here, meaning it's hot, right? Remember, we can do symbols for free. So we can say desert Sahara largest and then do little flame looking things. You probably are better at drawing flames than me. And that can be a symbol for hot. Okay, Cassie, did you have something to say?
I realized that when we did our first cute our outline or something, it was the what are the like the something cactus or something. And
Oh,
and
yes.
then we live in a desert, and this is like our next one that only has 5, and it's like related to the desert.
Oh, that's a good point. You're thinking of the giant saguaro, right?
Yeah.
The giant saguaro. Yeah, that was way back when we first started. And it
I
was
just realized that.
very good. Very observant of you. Okay. I also noticed that down here, and I didn't write anything about this yet because I don't know if I want to include that. I'm just going to leave that there. But I did, if I go on, I can see that the next sentence I have underlined is right here. The Sahara stretches across the whole African continent from the Atlantic Ocean to the Red Sea. That's a long ways. That's a huge, do you know that that's like the size of the United States, like the whole United States? That's about
Yeah,
how big.
Even bigger.
Yeah, that's about how big the Sahara Desert is. It's crazy. It's
It's
huge.
probably bigger.
So I'm going to pull some keywords from that fact, that how big it is. I'm going to pull some keywords, and I'm going to pick this word whole. So go ahead and write that for number 1. Let's put whole. And then it's the African continent. So I am going to put African. I'm picking keywords here from the facts that I want to write about. Continent. Oops, that should be an I. T-I-N-E-N-T. Continent. It's the whole African continent. And rather than saying from the Atlantic Ocean to the Red Sea, I'm going to say all the way from west to east. So I'm going to draw a W, arrow, and then I'm going to put an E. And that just means west to east. You guys know about the compass, right? And you know the directions of things. So I kind of paraphrase that into my own words. And that's something that I want you guys to learn as you're writing a report. Sometimes you'll use real keywords that are in the sentences, and sometimes you're going to paraphrase or put it into your own words of the fact that you learn. So we have whole, African, continent, west to east. And then the next one I'm going to do, I am going to decide on my original story, and I don't have it underlined, but I am going to underline it because I do think that it would be important to write about, is the temperature. I'm going to underline temperature soar to over 120 degrees Fahrenheit. That seems like an important thing because, you know, usually if you live in Bakersfield or Ridgecrest, maybe the hottest it'll get in the summer is like 110, maybe 112. Normally it doesn't go past that. And we know if it's 112 outside, you do not want to be outside, right? You do not want to be barefoot anywhere outside. It's hot. It's like hard to breathe hot. And I don't know about you, but your mom or dad, whenever they get in the car on a day that's 112 degrees and they go to touch the steering wheel and it's like, ow, it's so hot, you can't even touch it. Is that ever
Also the
happened?
seats.
Or the seats? That's true.
I
Especially
live
the
somewhere
seats.
where it gets very mild. It's very mild where I live, so you don't get that much hot weather.
My
Yeah, that's
siblings
good.
come-
When we do, it's only like 90 degrees compared to you guys.
My siblings are coming into my room again. They like to play these things they call pranks.
Oh,
Pranks.
They're pretty
Some people actually do some pranks that are very serious.
like amputating someone's legs and arms.
okay, we can stop there, Chase. Let's move on. We got to focus on the writing, all right? Okay, so I just underlined the fact that this is a fact that temperatures soar over 120 degrees Fahrenheit. So on my keyword outline, I'm going to use that fact next. But you can, when you get to do this by yourself later, weeks down the road, you get to decide what facts you want to write about. But I'm going to put for number 2, I'm going to put climate, comma, and I'm going to put severe. You know what severe means?
Severe means like severe. It means like lots of it or something. Like,
It means like extreme.
oh yeah, extreme. That's what.
Huh?
I also say hard climate.
Yes, a very hard climate, very harsh, right? It's bad. It's really bad. So climate severe day 120, and then the little degree symbol, that's what this is. It's a little tiny circle. That means degree. And that means Fahrenheit. And so when you go to write this paragraph, you might want to go back and look at how to spell Fahrenheit, because right here, we're only using a symbol. So we have climate, severe day, 120 degrees, F, which is Fahrenheit. All right, and then I also underlined this part about this oasis. Remember how we learned about that? And right here, people can live near an oasis. Oh, before that, if water runs underground near the surface, green fertile places called oasis appear. And when you're talking about more than one oasis, it's ES. But then if you talk about one oasis, it's IS. It's just how that word is spelled. So I'm going to decide on some key words here from that sentence. I'm going to choose underground water and then oasis. Remember, it's underground, and then sometimes the water comes to the surface. So I'm going to start with underground here. Go ahead and write this down. Underground water, oasis, and then I'm going to draw a little stick figure right here, because we learned that people live near that, right? Because normally the desert's really dry and hot and there's no water, there's nothing, no trees, nothing out there. And then sometimes underground, there's this water that creates an oasis. And that's where people can live, near the oasis. So I'm going to draw a little stick figure because we know people can live there. Okay. The next fact that I'm going to choose from this story or this text is about the animals down below here. And it's talking about, because water is scarce, remember that word scarce means it's not very common. It's hard to find. Only about 70 kinds of animals survive in the Sahara. I'm going to actually underline the next sentence. These creatures can live for long periods of time without water. And I think those are interesting facts that I'm going to include in my outline about the Sahara. So the keywords I'm going to choose are animals, because we're talking about the animals, and then that they can't live without water, or they can live without water for a long time, right? These creatures can live for long periods of time without water. And that's not true for all animals, only special animals like camels that live in the desert. So I'm going to pick the keywords here, animals. And then I'm going to put live. And do you guys know the scientific formula for water? Do you know what it is?
H2O.
Yes, very good. So we're going to put H and then you put the 2 a little bit low. And then what I want you to do with H2O is circle it and then draw a line through it. Because remember, that means without or no water, right? H2O means water. But if we circle it and draw a line through it, that means without. And then we're going to put the word long, because they can live a long time without water. I'm going kind of fast because I'm running out of time, and I want to be able to finish this outline so you can work on writing it this week. The last one, number 5, I'm going to talk about some of the animals here that they talk about at the end. These are the animals that live in the desert: vipers, lizards, and sand foxes and gerbils. And these are the animals that live in the Sahara Desert. So I'm going to choose, do you know what a viper is, by the way?
It's a snake, snakeity.
Yes, a viper is a snake.
And also sand foxes are actually, I know some, I don't know if it's foxes or sand cats, but one of them, sand cats or sand foxes do not leave footprints.
Oh, I did not know that fact. That's interesting. So we have vipers, lizards, and then gerbils. Do you know what a gerbil is? You ever seen a gerbil before? A gerbil is like a small animal, kind of like a mouse, but without a tail. Let me look it up on my phone really quick for you. Gerbil. They're cute, actually. And they don't, no, I guess they do have a tail. Here, I'll hold it up to the camera so you can see it. It looks very much like a mouse, but it's not exactly a mouse. Can you see it?
Ooh. Yeah.
It
That's
looks
called a
cute as a mouse.
gerbil. Yep. It looks like a mouse, but it's a little bit different. It's in the mouse family. But a lot of people have, huh?
It looks a lot cuter than the mouse.
Yeah, it's super cute. It's kind of like a little hamster. People have them as pets. They're really tiny. Little tiny
Really?
gerbils are tiny.
I
So
want one
they're
now.
pretty much hamsters.
Pretty much hamsters, but they do have a tail, and I don't think hamsters have much of a tail.
I want one now.
Yeah, you can put them in those little balls, and then they can run around the floor and stuff. They're pretty
When
cute.
I went to in-person school, the 4th grade teacher, she had a hamster.
Aw,
And so during breaks, kids can sign up for him, and then she could just choose a random kid, and then they just take care of him for the whole break.
oh, how fun. I bet that was
His
so
name was
fun.
Hammy.
Ah, that's cute. Okay, before you go, I want you to look at your checklist. This is page 79. It should be at the front of your binder because we took it out last week. This is for the deserts report that you're working on. Okay, good. So the checklist has a couple of new things on here. One of them is right here at the top. You have your topic, clincher, sentence, repeat or reflect 2 to 3 key words, highlight or bold. So that just means you can use a highlighter Or to bold it, you make it a little darker with your pencil. You can do that. Or even if you want to put a box around it, but
Like
don't
if you use
underline it.
If you
Yeah,
use
like a little
word for
square.
that word.
Yeah, you can do that. But you don't want to
Then
just underline it because that looks like it could be a dress up word. Only the dress up words are underlined. But notice your dress up list is getting longer. You have your ly adverb, who, which clause, strong verb. Remember, those are the words in place of the band words, and you can look those up for ideas. And then you have the because clause. So you're going to be looking for a place in your paragraph to explain why something is the way it is. Why is the desert so hard to live in? Because it's hot and there's not a lot of water. Okay, look for opportunities like that to use the word because. Now, this shows 2 paragraphs. You're only writing one this week. Okay, next week we're going to write about the Gobi Desert. This one is about the Sahara Desert. So your homework will be to do your grammar pages and then use this outline to write 1 paragraph. But the hardest part for you is going to be the checklist. You got to use the checklist and you need to copy this onto your Google Classroom. I want to see you actually put check marks in your boxes. You guys understand what I want?
Yes.
Good. Do you understand, Wyatt?
Yes.
How about you, Chase? Do you understand what I want? Good. I see the thumbs up. Okay, well, we went a couple minutes over this time. So your homework is your grammar. You're going to write your paragraph and use your checklist. And you guys have a happy Valentine's Day. Here's a heart from me.
I'm going to Mayo.
Huh?
I'm gonna go get frozen yogurt for Valentine's Day.
Ooh, that sounds fun. I love frozen yogurt. All right, you guys, I'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye. Have a good week.